Hello everyone, hello from Istanbul and welcome to Smart Building webinar, The Future Sense of Architecture. My name is Nurullah and I'm in charge of events and communication in Yapı Medya Communication. As you know, we are here today to look at future from architectural perspective and to discuss smart building design with its technological and environmental dimensions. We are very pleased to be joined by a really extraordinary group of people in sessions during the event. So let me give you a fast preview about today's program. The webinar will start with the presentation of Olaf Stutzenberger about future trends with ABB, and which we are going to foster the post-pandemic global trends in the building industry. And following the presentation, we will be joined by globally recognized Turkish architects and ABB executives to discuss their future visions on building industry. And our webinar will end up with keynote speech of Kengo Kuma. So let's start, and please join me to welcome Mr. Olaf Stutzenberger, ABB Electrification and Smart Building Global Marketing Communication Manager, for his presentation. Thank you.
Hello and welcome for today. I'm really honored to be with you here in this live event, and we will see more of these new formats. And let me share my screen for today with the information I have for you, with the trends like Nurullah mentioned here. And I'm from the Global Marketing Communication team in Smart Buildings, and today I will tell you a little bit more about the smarter future of homes, building and mobility, which from the perspective of ABB. And before I go into details, I have a video about this view of electrification, where smart buildings belong to, and enjoy. And afterwards, I go into the details. So enjoy the video.
Electrification is fundamental to our lives. ABB technology has always been at the forefront of innovative electrification, but that's only the beginning. The strategic role of electrification is growing, with urbanization and the world forging ahead to create a lower carbon future. We are developing digitally connected ABB ability-enabled solutions for our customers with our more than 50,000 employees. The future of mobility is electric too, and we are building the charging infrastructure to allow the world to move from fossil fuels to electricity-driven mobility. Digitalization has paved the way to new and safer electrification solutions that better serve our customers and society.
Let's write the future of safe, smart, and sustainable electrification together.
Let's write the future together. ABB.
Yeah, welcome back, and I hope you could have seen that many things has to be taken in account in this environment. And you see behind a virtual city, but as we are living not in a virtual world purely, so at the end we are living in real buildings, so many things has to be taken in account. And that's why we have a closer look to the homes, buildings, and the mobility in cities, and for sure the surroundings. So everything is connected to everything, not in terms of digitalization, more in terms that it's close to each other and needs to interact, especially in the cities. And cities without homes and buildings are nothing. And for that, we taken a look a long time ago for the mega trends, which changing a little bit, and there's for sure more trends which are driving us. But these are the main things in terms of technology in buildings, and other things around which are driving us. One thing is the urbanization. So what we see that a lot of people moving to cities, and that's why we have increased demand for buildings all over the world. And there's a study about it that in 2050, 70% of the world's population will live in cities, and the move towards cities we can see already today. So in nearly every country, a different reason why, but this is a different topic. But a major thing is what is driving us is the digitalization, and there are different numbers you can find everywhere, and they're talking about 30 to 50 billion connected internet devices worldwide, and increasingly in buildings, which brings us more possibilities in buildings and so on. And in this times, for sure, there's a huge impact on that, and increase that. I guess that the number is floating rather fast in these times. But what is rather important, and this one topic will address today, is this topic of sustainability. And for that, we need to consider the integration of flexible supply due to higher increase or higher impact of renewables. And one thing regarding buildings is the solar market, where from Frost and Sullivan there is a number that will have a supply of 150 gigawatt in 2025, not so far away. So we are approaching this number. And integration of flexible demand is rather important, as we're moving in cities and around buildings, therefore, to more alternative transportation, like electrical cars. So this is a mega trend, but maybe it will shift a little bit to hydrogen, but at the end, the cars will be driven electric. It's not just a matter how they are powered, but this belongs to the infrastructure around buildings. So most of this is connected to building, like in parking areas of buildings, in hotels, offices, and so on, or even at home in the garage. So this needs to be taken into account because it needs space and has to be planned. And some things on the side, what needs to be taken into account for the future of buildings is the question, what is a valuable asset today and in the future? And for sure, if you look at this case study by MIPIM in 2019, it's a fact that if you increase the comfort to the occupants and increase or decrease the operational cost during the lifetime, this is really value for buildings in the future, due to the fact that a lot of people looking into sustainability in terms of energy usage, but in terms of maintenance and in terms of the material you are using. So is it recyclable? So these are questions which people taking in account when investing into buildings and when tenants or users are looking for the right building. So, and there's a huge number regarding this topic of energy supply and usage. What I said is the energy consumption of buildings, which has a portion of 40% overall, and today responsible for 36% of the CO2 emissions. This according to a study of the EU, but you can take these figures for similar regions as well. Might differ, but with increase of buildings and growing cities, this is even other regions like Asia, Africa, and so on, the same. Therefore, sustainability in terms of energy is rather important and needs to be taken in account if you plan a building. So, but there are already some solutions there. We are in this business for a long time, and therefore we know what it's possible if you take intelligent building control in account. So here's some examples all over the world. This museum in Italy, it's not a new building, it's some some years in operation, but from that we know what is possible in terms of reducing energy consumption. So another thing, airport, the Terminal 3 in India, a similar figure with intelligent control, or the oldest in this series, what I say, it's the Capital Gate in the United Arab Emirates, or another hotel in India where this could be realized in this building. So you see that energy is playing a big role in terms of sustainability, but when it comes to the owners, the operators, and for sure the investors, in terms of energy consumption and costs of during the lifetime of a building. So, but there are other things, owners versus space users, which should be aligned for sure to meet, I would say, the customer's needs. Think about business models and what is about the space value, because new modern buildings have more functions today. Inside the building, you have public meeting areas, you have recreation areas, working areas, open offices, and so on. And what is the value of these spaces? And these areas will provide more services, and this is not that easy to calculate, but has to be taken in consideration while planning new buildings. And this at the end will, if you meet the customer's needs, reduce the risk for vacancies or of empty buildings. Yeah, and another thing coming to sustainable, especially, are these, you may know, this ESG benchmark, which takes the environmental impact, social impact, and governance into account, where people looking for. So people who are investing, due to the fact that the customers, the building owners later on, the operators, the users, will have a look into these impacts, especially on the environmental impact, but more and more the social aspects of the investors, who is the operator, will take in account if they do it in the right way due to social criteria. That's rather important and should not be underestimated. So because people really looking into this topic. Okay, so let's start from current possibilities. Just a short look to move over to the outlook a little bit, what we are thinking about, which will become important in the future. Will not cover everything, just give some bullet points, and maybe we can take up later on some more in the panel discussion. So today, and we're talking there mainly in terms of building automation in the areas, especially for commercial buildings, of security and efficiency. So in the residential area, we may have more in the direction of comfort and security. So that's a slightly difference between. Then what becomes more important is the topic of flexibility. And this means not that you rearrange a building inside and adapt all the functionality to the new setup. It's more to be flexible, to be connected to all other solutions. So not everyone is using the same standards when it comes to different technologies. So a crucial point is to integrate third parties. So depending on which side you are standing, so ABB is then a third party as well. But this is a thing to be open. And this means with flexible, because things has to work together. And this is a really important point. And that's why we're using today and in the future global standards like the KNX standard for building automation. But there are a lot of gateways or cloud connectivities to meet this aspect of third-party integration. So we have already some really good best examples for that. The other thing is the control of the building, that I think this is basic needs that you can control via whatever device, mobile device, the building gets information out of it. We come later on to this point. So this is already possible in new buildings. So the question is how to implement it in existing buildings. There are solutions already there. Some restrictions are there, you need to know, but in general, it's possible. But let's move to the future. What we see will become more and more important, and it's a topic of energy management. Some call it load management, but in general, it's all around energy management, and this referring to the trend of flexible supply and demand. Because we see more and more buildings going to be self-sufficient or even energy plus buildings to generate more energy that they're going to consumption, and this is rather important because if we're moving more and more to renewable energies, this is not that I would say stable, because it's not all day long the sun shining, or we have not wind all the time, and therefore we see that there's external storages, or even in communities you have community storages, and or inside the building. And this not only to be complete independent with the storage, it's more today, I would say, maybe in the future this will change a little bit, to balance the peaks in terms of the loads. And it's rather important that the building manage the energy flow automatically depending on different conditions like weather, number of peoples, or how many cars shall be charged, and so on and so on. What is about the season? Do we need more heating or cooling, and all these things? And this is today partly possible, but there for sure need some more investigations on this. We already have some good solutions for this, but this is not the end of the story because there are a lot of changes ongoing when you see the topic of the mobility or other technology. Another topic is the terms of the maintenance and construction, that should be rather easy to integrate new products, and then it comes to learning buildings, that buildings in the future will recognize the devices automatically. With that, for sure, we need to ensure that all the technology is more or less intelligent and connected. So this is possible, and then you need for sure to implement several rules how this shall be organized. But this is the future, so that in terms of construction, later on maintenance, and for that lifetime costs, we see an impact with this easy integration. Another topic when it comes to easiness is for sure the easiness of the usage of all the technology, but at the end the technology is there to serve the users inside the building, because technology is not for itself in the buildings, should provide the service support the people who are living or working inside. Let's see in more details, because there's another trend. What we see is a topic of individualization, especially in residential area, but even in commercial areas, it's possible and today somehow implemented. So the personalization is a topic to meet the aspect of individualization, because everyone has different needs, and the building needs to recognize it. So we are today able to recognize it via camera, but there are other things in planning or could be possible to recognize the single persons in terms to personalize the home, the office area, or help foreign people to find the way in the building. So camera recognition is one thing already in place in Asia. The technology is for sure there. In other regions like Europe, for instance, it's a little bit tricky regarding the GDPR regulation, but there are other possibilities today planned so that you have a more or less anonymous way to recognize people. But then if the building is able to do so, can guide you through the building if you are a foreigner, or when you think about open offices, what is your office today? Because there are no fixed offices, which we see, especially now during the ongoing crisis with Corona, that there will be working more people at home, and therefore it's a fixed desk not needed, and there will be a shift into more open offices, hot desk, or however you want to call it. But then another aspect in the building is comfort, what I mentioned at the beginning. You may heard about this topic of well-being everywhere and how to ensure it. And for that, you need to know who is there, how do they feel, and different possibilities today in place or possible regarding how do they feel. So you could measure the heart rate with the wearables, all with the aspect of the individual rights. So it should be not that everything is open and directed to the single person. So this for sure needs to be taken in consideration. But if you are able to see how many people are there and how do they feel, you can the building could serve it in the way that there's a right atmosphere there according to what they are doing and so on. And then we see that artificial intelligence will come into the game in terms of learning buildings. So optimization during the lifetime based on the experience the building will gain during the operation. So that's a rather big point where we are looking into. And everything is digital, and today we have this BIM data model, which is taken already in account for construction. But with that, in the future, with artificial intelligence, possible to develop new buildings or even new cities based on the experience, so that an existing building type could evolve into a better place due to these learnings of the buildings. And we see that BIM data will be not only static. So there will be some parts more or less dynamic to meet this aspect and to support the topic of predictive maintenance and other aspects. But this is rather important to move forward into the future, I would say. That's a topic, and therefore we need more connected devices. We have already, and that's a clear future topic for us. So the way forward to smarter areas, and if you expected here to see technology, that's behind the scene, because everything needs to have a value, and one value would be to reduce the operational costs. So this is a driver, and then energy efficiency comes into the game, usage of renewable energy, the topic of safety is in all the buildings for sure, and reliability. So that we see a bigger demand in monitoring everything in terms of enabling predictive maintenance and so on, to reduce maintenance time at the end. So, and for that, sure, you need technology which meets the aspect of customization, what I said in terms of individualization, ease of use. Easiness is a really huge thing, because you see old technology going back 10, 20 years, and you see, so sometimes it's rather complicated, and even today, and this is really a big point for the acceptance of technology. And all the other things, connectivity, flexibility, what I said, interoperability, so that all the systems can work together. The environmental impact, everyone is looking into things, and UX and productivity in terms of sustainability, sense of belonging, well-being, the things which I mentioned and what we can discuss later on. Let's close this short view into the future with a summarize of our president of Smart Buildings, Oliver Iltisberger, which clearly stated that market trends and technology disruptions drive us into an increasingly digital area. And I would underline that now the current crisis accelerate this topic of digital era. And therefore our integrated smart solutions and state-of-the-art software and services will enhance people's quality of life in homes and buildings. And this is what is driving us internally to develop the right solutions so that people can live and work together in the future. So with that, I thank you, and looking forward to a good discussion with the other colleagues, and I would overhand to the moderator, Nurullah. Thank you.
Hello again. Actually, we had some technical issues as it's raining very heavily in Istanbul. It was because of the internet connection. So sorry for this issue, and thank you for your passion. And so let's come back to the event again. And thank you, Olaf, for your presentation. And as you can see, our panel is composed of a variety of professionals, but mainly architects, as also I studied architecture as well. And so our focus will be mainly architecture, and we will question how we're gonna reshape the future as designers and architects with the technology providers beside. And the speakers will present their future sense of architecture through their personal approach. And also we would like to make this talk as possible as interactive. So please feel free to leave your comments or ask questions in the chat box in your screen. So as you already know Olaf, I would like to introduce you other speakers. And since we know that we have a very international audience, I would like to start with Ali. Ali Hızıroğlu is a designer and partner of ERA Architects. And he started working with ERA in 2003, and he continues as a partner at ERA's Istanbul and Beijing office, where also he has taken an active role since its establishment. And he managed the design phases of large-scale mixed-use projects as Garanti Technology Campus in Istanbul, which was shortlisted in World Architecture Festival in 2019, and Zorlu Center and Istanbul Technopark. And we have dear Begüm and Kerem Yazgan, also the founding partners of Yazgan Design. They both have an academic background, which I think empowers their architectural practice. Begüm's thesis examines the way how system approach affected the contemporary disclosure of sustainable architecture and green architectural practices. And Kerem's doctoral dissertation entitled Designography in Architecture was about systems and acts in architectural design. So they together founded Yazgan Design in 2003, and they aim to adapt architectural practice by taking design process as a problem itself. And they have many internationally awarded projects such as Ankara Arena, YDA Center in Ankara again, and very recent one, Hamam Yolu Urban Deck in Eskişehir, which was also shortlisted in WAF 2019. And there, Bulent Erdogan. Bulent has been practicing in sales and marketing for almost 20 years, mainly in electrical industry, both in local and global companies. And right now he is working as product marketing director for small buildings business line in ABB, and he is responsible for Turkey and some countries. And also I would like to special thank to him because he made happen. He helped us to make this event happen, and with his team. And so my first question will be to Ali, because as we know, ERA has some branches in all over the world, in Russia, in France, and also in China. So I can say that you are one step further than us about experiencing this pandemic and post-pandemic period. So could you tell us about your experiences already, since you are already someone from the future?
Yes, thank you for the invitation, first of all. Well, it is true that when you have these type of connections and branches around in different countries, you actually witness these things in their own pace. And in fact, when this event occurred in China, as it was in south of Beijing, we were not directly touched, but over the course of the things, we have actually witnessed that much ahead of Istanbul. So what was very striking in a way is that they have taken control of the things in a very strict manner from pretty much from the start. And obviously, it has an impact as we are working together in parallel between the Istanbul office and the Beijing office. Obviously, it was quite a struggling moment for us as well to decide how to work out. Although we are very used to have this parallel work between the offices, it was an interesting moment in time. Right now, we are also here working all from mostly from home. And in the issue hasn't been that much change in Beijing as they closed again. So it seems like we're gonna witness this thing going on and off over time. But I'd like to also mention a little bit that our experience in China specifically has started about 10 years ago. And, we had the chance to, in fact, witness the difference in the urbanization of Chinese, city history somehow. And it was a time where the Chinese construction domain was booming right before the Olympics in Beijing in 2008. So we had the chance to really see the developments, the different urbanization typologies between south and north, and different regions have different agendas. There are heavily industrial cities, all the pollution issues, etc. So we really saw that over time, and in the recent years, we have been working a lot in the south area, in Shenzhen area, and we see that they are actually take the lead of developments and testing new ideas. Actually, the community in general is very open to new trends, and they're following up, creating their own trends nowadays. So all these new technologies and the social media, which has started to shape the entire world, has taken over there as well. And the shared economy is somehow getting tested. The office spaces, like WeWork, for instance, has a lot of impact over there. So the way of working has become from almost rural level to the highest technological urban environment is getting much more connected than 10 years ago. So we are moving ahead into this new era where I think the data will take the lead in decision making. The interesting part about China is mainly the scale of things. although everywhere the different methodologies are applied, in China you have a factor of the scale which make things very very different than other parts of the world, in my opinion. And in terms of that, when we come back to the COVID issue, this pandemic issue, I believe we were seeing signs even before this pandemic started in China, that the government was, they are very much in control of the development of the urban planning, and according to different times and related to their economy as well. They are giving incentives to different typologies of buildings to be developed. And in the recent years, we were also seeing in architectural design community that the rural areas are becoming into the spotlight of the new development. And this pandemic, I think, had triggered something that we were all waiting for at some point. I mean, I'm not mentioning it in the sense of obviously the health side, but mostly the way that all this infrastructure that Olaf has also mentioned earlier is getting prepared for such. They're leading us towards this direction where decentralization most probably will be our new life somehow. Whether there is a pandemic or not, we will discover by the help of these new technologies new ways of designing, of communicating with each other, and also continue to develop the type of spaces that is needed coming from this experience.
Well, thank you very much, Ali, for all this information. And I would like to turn to Kerem and Begüm. As you also have projects in different geographies around the world and in various scales, and also how do you see the future in terms of interaction between architecture, smart technologies, and sustainability? And how do you define the relation between your architectural theories and our current subject that we are talking on now?
I have a question. Should I turn to our presentation for this question, or should I only reply your question?
Well, up to you. We will be we will appreciate your presentation as well.
Okay, I will explain your question in terms of our presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We base our design philosophy by looking at the notions of systems thinking, really. And in the systems thinking, the whole and the parts are interacted flexibly with regard to a specific type of relationship in a system. And now I will explain how it works in our architectural design, and I will reply your questions accordingly. We call our architectural design flexible design systems, as we call it. And in our designs, the elements of architecture are interacted by means of a specific relationship type, and we create endless possibilities with that. Systems thinking is widely used in ecology, and here in ecology, the system is a certain ecosystem, and the organisms, the elements, are interrelated by means of energy exchange, and this is also a specific relation type, and the system becomes flexible this way, flexible ecosystem. Now I will explain what these flexible systems are. Here, for instance, in art, it is a reactable music instrument. Every element has its autonomy, and they are interacted by means of sound and rhythm relationship. And the DJ is controlling. DJ is the designer, and he is controlling the music type. He subtracts the elements, adds the elements, and make a certain music. And in art, for instance, there are some elements that define the artwork. Their beauty is not important. What is important is the system itself, and the system is defined by a certain relationship type, and it is called distancing. You know, here the painter, he is Hong Hao, is putting every element with a certain distance between them and creates work of art through a system. And this works in Ebru painting, in Turkish painting type as well. Every element is interacted by means of a distancing relationship. Here in art, for instance, this is artwork by Brancusi. This is a sculpture. Here, the beauty of the sculpture is not important. Here, the Brancusi created a system it's a flexible, certain. It is a certain specific relationship type. It is putting elements on top of each other, and with this system, he creates a work of art. Here, the beauty or the artist's hand is not important. Here, for instance, in cinema, there is a film called Tron Legacy. Here, for instance, every element, he creates a specific system. It is called contour, specific relationship type, sorry. This is contour, you know, he is putting contour, light contour to every element and creates a system in this film. The beauty of the elements are not important. The creation, artist creation is not important. It is the system that develops this cinema work of art. And in also graphics, this is the logo of Salt Galata. Here, the alphabets are seen in only 2/3, you know, and the other some parts are missing. You know, 1/3 of the part of the alphabet is missing, but the brain combines it accordingly. It is not a beauty of the font itself. It is the system of the font that creates the artwork. Are you hearing me? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We hear you. We hear you.
Okay, and in this is also in photography. For instance, here the artist takes the photo of a certain region in every time, and he combines the scene by bringing together all the photo, how can I say, elements in this timely manner, and he creates a system, you know, photographic art system with this type of relationship. Here, the relationship type is also fixed, and you create a flexible system, endless possibilities by this fixed relationship type. Here, for instance, in the interior design, it is the showroom of Issey Miyake. Here, the elements are displayed in the showroom by a specific certain system. Here, the designer defined a specific relationship type. This is the putting the sticks in distancing between each other. And when you put the objects of design on top of these sticks, the display scene is the system itself. And here also there is an architect. Your internet connection with the internet connection. There is an architect called Tetsuo Kondo. Here, Tetsuo Kondo made an installation by only a fixed relationship type. This is a relationship type. This is a certain detail between the tree and the platform, and this platform can be endlessly created by only a specific detail. When you make this detail to every element of tree, you can create lots of ramps through this way. Here, the design itself, the beauty of the design itself is not important. Here, the ramp, the system of the ramp is important. And also there are flexible systems in nature. For instance, this is the salt fields in Senegal. Here, every family has a specific region. These elements are autonomous, and they have some certain kind of autonomy in itself. When they come together with a distancing relationship, which is a very specific type of relationship, you create a system of salt fields. This is a flexible system. And also the rice fields in Vietnam. Here, you make the rice fields by the relationship of terracing. The terracing is the fixed relationship type, and you create endless possibilities of salt fields, rice fields in this Vietnam region. Here in nature, for instance, this is called crown shyness. Crown shyness means every tree has a specific distancing relationship between each other to make the light enter in the forest. If the light is not entered in the forest, this forest does not work for all of the tree. That's why they created between themselves a specific relationship type. This is distancing to enter the light in a forest ecosystem. This is called crown shyness system. And also there are spotted lakes in Canada. They are minerals, and these minerals come together in the spotted lake by means of a distancing relationship between each other to survive in the same equal conditions. Also in the city, we have this kind of flexible systems. Here, for instance, in Barcelona, all the plots are come together with in terms of a distancing relationship in a grid. Here also, for instance, in Zadar, this is a sea organ in Zadar. Here, the elements which are called stairs and the sea come together by means of a music relationship. This music instrument is created by the engineers, and this coming together of the elements in a certain relationship, endless possibilities of music are produced and with its own rhythms. Here, for instance, in architectural culture, we have lots of flexible systems. For instance, this is a courtyard system. This courtyard can be flexibly, contracted and enlarged, and the buildings come together around this courtyard system, and this is a flexible type of system. And also in plazas, for instance, in the world, the plazas are surrounded by buildings, but plazas can be smaller, can be bigger, like the courtyards in architecture, and we can create endless possibilities with this courtyard system, which is a flexible system. And also, for instance, in Sana architects do this kind of design very much. Here there is courtyard in this architectural design, and the courtyards are endless courtyards, and with these courtyards they create lots of design possibilities. And the importance is not the designer's beautiful creation, it is the system, the flexible system is what is important. and also by Peter Zumthor, he created a Swiss soundbox in Expo in 2000 with only a detail, with a specific type of detail that is made with wood. He created endless possibilities of architectural design. And also, this architectural culture dates back to histories. For instance, in Gaudi used it widely in Casa Mia, for instance. He made a system of courtyards, staircases, arches, beams, and facade. His specific type of relationship is distancing. You know, he put the arches with a specific type of distance between each other, and he created endless forms with this type of relationship. Even my daughter Lara draw these arches and their distancing relation and endless possibilities of creating this system of courtyards with this only one type of relationship. So in these examples from different fields, there are similar but variable components, and they are repetitive relationships, and they are flexible systems, and the flexible systems guide the design, and the outcome of the system is endless possibilities, lots of possibilities with a single relationship type. I'm returning to our designs in our studio. For instance, one of these orange house that we created for a Knaf family in Ankara. Here the spaces can be shrinked and expanded flexibly. There is a very single relationship type between them, and this is distancing relationship. This distancing relationship, we made it through putting windows between the spaces, and you can make a space endlessly, and you can play with the spaces like the bubble diagram, and this is the system itself that is important. And there are also our White House in also Ankara. This system is the shrinking of the spaces by means of a orientation, centralized orientation. And also this is a flexible system. In Knaf Arena, we designed a single platform and with a hat. And inside this Knaf Arena, there are the products of the Knaf company. And we repeated this idea with different types of hat designs. And you can see the platform and the hat and the container Knaf products can be combined endlessly in an exhibition space. Here also another example. Here we made a three-dimensional matrix, and this matrix is the specific relationship type. And in this matrix, every element has its work, architectural element, and its type of interaction. And the fixed system is this matrix system. And this Konya Food and Agriculture University, the buildings here can be shrinked and be, smaller, bigger in the courtyard, specific circular system.
Dear Begüm, may I just ask you to wrap up fastly, since we are going to ask the other speakers as well?
Okay, I will now I will give the word to my colleague Kerem Yazgan, or I will reply the questions. What should I do?
Well, you can just go a little bit faster to complete the presentation, because it looks quite interesting. Okay, but we are running out of time, that's why.
Okay, I will return to Hamam Yolu. In Hamam Yolu, there is a specific platform, and this platform can be flexibly designed according to the elements of nature and architecture. Here, the platform, there is a linear LED type of indication on the floor. It is created by white cement and the glass, colored glass, and this colored glass is produced in the local by local producers. Here you can see the LED linear light that makes an indication on the platform system, which is a three-dimensional system. At the end of the road, there is the Eskişehir Modern Art Building, so it is very close in this proximity by Kengo Kuma. So as you see, this linear LED axis can be flexibly coordinated by means of the elements of nature. Here, for instance, in İğneada, we created a system of ribs. And this ribs, this is the camping area. And the ribs are with a specific relationship type. This is the ribbed distance between ribs. And we can create multiple camping units with this way. So I will return my words to my colleague Kerem, and he will explain about the dynamic relationship with elements of nature, you know. So you can, if you want, you can ask questions to me.
Hello.
Thank you very much. Hello, Kerem. Yes, please.
Okay, I will try to shorten the rest of the.
Thank you very much.
But the idea of this flexible system evolved in time in our production, and now we are dealing with the relationship of nature with the building. So here, for example, like Gaudi, Sagrada Familia, we have a relationship of colorful shadow in Dakar Arena, or in our Kalkan villas, Altes Villa projects. Sun comes late with the colorful dust, and so the effect is changing during the day. Or these days, for let's say for in our last projects, we try to combine the greenery into our buildings. Like this one, for example, each of the spaces are surrounded by green courtyards. So, and this is now in almost finished. This building, it's on the construction. Or the buildings surround the big garden, or the garden in between the buildings, like these laboratories, or the garden in between two elements, a facade element and the building. And this is a project in our university, Middle East Technical University, a co-work and cafeteria building. Here, it's a green campus. The spaces are defined by greenhouses and green courtyards. So it is integrated, and the green defines the space in a way, like this plan. We have 3 different types of courtyards, and we can feel the different seasons inside the space. Like this, there is a gap, so the gap makes visible the snow or the rain. You can feel the 3 different, let's say, 3 colors at the same time. So I will go very fast. Also, there is this. In this flexibility idea, there's also the rhythm and the music and art and the play, the idea of play. We have finished. We have completed a building in Ankara with the same idea, where the gardens define the spaces, and you can feel the other space in depth, but they are separated, and we have a connection with nature. We can feel the snow inside. So I want to come up in a point after all these examples that we produce and we showed from different fields. For example, the relationship of the tree with this glass facade, and the outcome like a shadow, you see. So we like this shadow effect. But do we know about this shadow? This is our question. Then we try to understand our production, our relationship with these greenhouses or these trees, and the relationship of them into our architecture. We need to know more about nature. And we need to understand the natural, let's say, living species, their relationship of a giraffe and a tree. So, and there is a paradox of nature we understand in for this species. This paradox, we can call it cooperation while isolation. And the living organism has to learn how to live with all the elements of nature while protecting its existence. Like a shark, for example. The shark skin is evolved in time, and now it becomes the scales becomes like a protection from outer effects. Also, an element that help the shark to swim faster and more quietly. So these elements, if we compare like an architectural element, as Mr. Olaf explains, the architectural elements can be evolved this manner to have more, let's say, smart relationship with nature and the effect of nature. Also, there are mutual relationship like this remoras. I mean, the shark like this remoras because they eat some of the parasites that shark doesn't like. So, what about architecture and the paradox of architecture? A similar paradox we are facing now: a cooperation with nature while isolation. We want nature inside our buildings, like our courtyards that we put into our projects, but we also want to isolate from COVID, for example. So there is a paradox. There is a quite challenging thing in this. Architecture has to learn the ways of living with the forces of nature while helping to sustain human existence. And Herzog de Meuron, in their book, highlights, I think, this issue in a very, very clear manner. And they have an example of Farnsworth House, of this famous Farnsworth House of Miss van der Rohe. This house is elevated from the ground, and it is a very nice house with all this transparency, visual relationing with nature, and exposed structure and the simplicity. So all the architectural design elements that we learned for years. But there is also a Fox River nearby, and the Fox River overflow many times, and the house is underwater. So this is not the architectural force, I believe, but this is something that we need to understand and learn and develop and make progress about the knowledge of nature. So do we have the notion of simultaneous understanding of multiple factors of nature and its relationship to the built environment? This is what we are questioning these days. Do architects produce design by focusing on the knowledge of nature? And how much do we take into account our visible and invisible environment in our designs? For example, this drop of seawater. There are 10 million viruses in one drop of seawater. This slide we were in East Europe in some of the conferences 1 year ago, and so after the COVID came. So you see, we don't know really what's going on in the invisible space, I can call it, in this room, for example. Or the human body is composed of 38 trillion bacteria and 30 trillion cells. So think about the complexity of a human body. And coming to the architecture, we want to understand what affect one moment of design in the process. What are the factors that affect this phase of design? And we can list some of them, like titles like environmental aspects, functional aspects, actors. If we just put the actors side by side, we see that there are many actors that affect the design, or many components a building is made of, like a car. We need to understand all these components, then their relationship we need to know. Then we need to know their relationship with the nature, And so architectural design requires to think and develop knowledge about all of these aspects. And if we put like a fictive formula of multiple factors, we can have such a formula that affect a project, a design. And of course, in a process, and we include the time and the team. So, do we have enough knowledge about the overflow of the river as the shadow which appears on the surface of our building? For example, can we consider this shadow effect and this tree in our mechanical calculations? I can clearly say no. It is not written anywhere. It is not written in ASHRAE, for example, in the American standards. So the tree doesn't calculate it into the inner environment and the selection of the facade. We can be more smarter on this, or the knowledge of the reflection of this snow to the inside, which will affect the lighting because now the space is more brilliant, so more luminous with this snow and the reflection. So the profile of future architects for us need new visions by considering this simultaneous understanding of multiple factors, with the knowledge of these factors and the flexible system in between them. So from object-based architecture to the knowledge-based architecture, we need a radical shift from the effect of nature to the knowledge of nature. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for this very interesting presentation, as you gave us very broader perspective. So I would like to continue with Olaf. As we have listened our architects in our panel discussion, I would like to ask you. You also mentioned about this holistic systems of ABB, and I'm sure you have been working in a very close relation with architects. And how do you do it? How do architects contribute in the process of developing this technologies and smart building systems?
Yeah, there are several things we are doing. So first, I would like to connect you with my colleague Katrin Förster, who is in continuous connection with architects all over the world. You may know her because she was responsible with World Architecture Festival for the organization from ABB side on. And she's our main contact for the architects. And she brings a lot of information and knowledge from the architects to ABB to take these opinions in consideration. And in the development projects, time by time, we are organizing workshops to take the opinions of the architects in this project. So this is one part. We do it on technology side as well, with some system integrators as well, but architects are a part of it. And for sure, we're using surveys from architects about different topics which matters for different development projects. So it's ongoing. So it's not only one point what we are doing. It's ongoing, and yeah, that's the way. So different aspects.
Thank you very much. So with the reference to information you have given, I would like to ask Bulent Erdogan, and can you share your experiences in Turkey and STAN countries in terms of this relation with architects and what ABB offers in terms of technology and design?
Thank you, Nurullah. Thank you, and thank you to all. And we are really glad to be hosting you, our famous architects. Two of the famous architects, Ali Bey and also the Kerem and Begüm Hanım also. And also after that, we will be ending this today's session with the famous Kengo Kuma, who will be telling more about his vision and also the project that he has also done in Eskişehir. As ABB Turkey, we have been working since 1988, so more than 32 years. So as we will be telling with the Olaf in the words, as ABB for the electrification wise, we are looking for safe, smart and sustainable buildings as our motto. So that is our vision, and all the design phases and all our methodology and all our aspirations are coming from that motto. This is our daily conversation, maybe in our local business and also the global business. We are taking care of it. So what I would like to underline in a very short period of time is this. We would like to give you, we have seen or we have here the Chinese experiences from Ali Bey from the first question, and also the Kerem Bey and Begüm Hanım, also the natural aspect and also some design phases related to smart building. What I'm coming back to our ABB side is we will be working and showing you as the supplementary part of the electrical automation part that I will be showing in the design phases of the smart buildings. So let me show you, because in that virtual environments, you all know that this is not easy to give the impression of the people of the things that you are inspiring. So I just think that it will be good to share with you our references that we have done in Turkey. Can you see the picture?
Not yet.
No, we couldn't see your presentation yet.
Okay. Can you see?
No, not yet. You are supposed to open the presentation first and then share your screen.
Okay.
Yes, I think.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, sorry for the delay. So what I'm gonna tell you is just some examples that we have done with some different product that we have done in Turkey since many years. Since 2006, we have been in that business over close to 15 years in Turkey. Let me show you one hotel project, a luxury hotel. It's located in Antalya, in Kemer. The name is the Maxwell, one of the luxurious hotel in Turkey. What we have done and what we have used as our interesting or more than 20 years old or 25 years old. Olaf could know the age of the product more than me, but because of the design philosophy of the product, it's really up to now we are using, and also the customer appreciation is really high from that aspect. So we are as ABB, during our design phases, the design philosophy we would like to take care and offer to the market is for a long-term period that we look forward. So for such pictures that I have shown you, for example, in the bedside, the KNX automation, the Triton and the presence detector. For that big project, we have done all the building automation and the lighting automation, the shutters and all the things through ABB, and it's been operating since many years. Just as an example for the office, as the Turkcell, this is the biggest GSM operator in Turkey. So we have done also the lighting automation, plus just maybe as ABB, you may not have the information that we have been known as a very power company. But of course, we have had in electrification products and solutions coming from switch and socket to the medium voltage cabinets that we are offering to the utilities. So we have a big offering. In the left-hand side, in the bottom left side, we have the unique made in Germany, Brochure branded wiring accessories that we already offered into this project as ABB. Just another one, another hotel, another residential project. We have done also this project. It's really a world famous flip start project that we have done. I think it has already been finished 2 years ago. It has had a period of 4 years during the installation and also the finishing of the construction. This has become some delays. So this, you see also the pictures of the wiring accessory range that we have installed, and also we have the running KNX system in that residences all around the flats. Çağan-Kempinski, the Çağan-Kempinski is one of the best and hotels, or from the design wise world famous hotels that's located in close to the Phosphorus area. We have already done many years ago, I think it was 2010, the old historical Kempinski Palace with automation and also somehow wiring accessory range that's really being not in a modern style, but of course from a different classical and design offering we had it. So this is what I would like to mention it to you. From modern to classical, we have different varieties of solutions and products that we already offer. Then it's another very nice project, and also it's really a very reputable project in Turkey. 286 villas. Maybe in Germany, Olaf can make comments. They do not have so much big multi-complex villas in Germany. They do have individual villas in their owns. So we have in Turkey such big sites, multi-sites. In that sites, there are many villas. In that project, it is one of the biggest villa project in Turkey, located in the European side of Istanbul. The name is Ormanada. The main contractor was, I think, the German architect. I do not remember the name of the architect right now, but it's being fully furnished by ABB, both automation plus wiring accessory switch, just for your information. Another office, Cengiz Holding head office. You see right-hand side, I would like to show you very holistic and future aspect of the KNX sensor range that we have been offering since 2013. The name is Prion. So as you see, this design philosophy has been inspired by the BMW or Mercedes rotary control driving wheels. So this is a rotary mechanism that we have been inspired in Germany. So it's made in Germany in the ABB factory. So we all use these KNX sensors in that project, also in many others. So the MR is still continuing this project. This is an address hotel. This is the one of the, I think they do not have so much address hotel all around the world. So one of them will be opening in the end of this year, I guess, in Istanbul. So we will be furnishing all the KNX installation and also the wiring accessory range. As you see, one of the thermostat range that we do see it. Very simple, but on the other hand, very user-friendly. So in the technological perspective, I have been in the automation sector for more than 15 years. Of course, the technology is, having the reputation and getting bigger and bigger day by day. But on the other hand, you need to have the user-friendly options, and you need to have that features, even if the digital is getting your life so much quicker. So this is one of the thermostats that we are using, and it's also being selected because of being very user-friendly in the hotel rooms. As we all go in the hotel rooms, we have seen many thermostats. even we do not know how to operate. So this is the way that as ABB, in that project, we offer that very user-friendly thermostats in that range. So another hotel and office project. This is a really new product and solution.
I also will ask you, sorry for interrupting, but I'll also ask you to wrap up shortly. Thank you.
Okay, this is the 10 seconds. Thank you very much. The Takteo, it's really a capacitive touch sensor. It's a new generation of the future sensor series that we are operating. It's the one that I would like to show it to you, that we already installed in the Polisan Holding project. That's really been operating well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all speakers that we have get very wide and broader perspective in terms of technology and till design. So I will get back to Ali, as I think he has something to say more about his experiences. But also I would like to wrap up the session with my last question to all of you. Maybe you can just like summarize your ideas about your sense of future, and in this sense, what excites you about potentials globally and locally. So Ali, we can start with you and then continue with the others. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think right now, until now, the whole industry has proven itself that we can develop all these technologies to make the user much more comfortable, to make the buildings much more desirable, attractive. We are doing it. We have already done that, but I believe there's a big challenge ahead of us, and this last 3-4 months have shown it very, very clearly. If I might say, like the king is naked now, in my opinion. We cannot hide it anymore. And it is that actually what drives all of us, all of these components of the sector, is the economy. And what so how these economies globally will evolve will decide on our response to the new conditions. And if this social distancing issue will have to continue, I think right now we are trying to, come up with new ideas or short responses, but it might push us towards a new future, which is mostly decentralized. We have seen a huge urbanization all around the world, to densify, to make life much more efficient, and with all its difficulties, the construction industry, electric side, mechanical side, there are many components to that problem, and we have been trying to find out different solutions to that. But if this thing continues or replicates itself in a different manner, I think the new infrastructure would help us to develop new solutions to that. And that would be maybe, instead of bringing everyone to the same location, instead we would be distributed all around the world like we are right now. We are kind of a case of it. And when you think about the 5G, which is on its way, I'm not discussing its replications on health issues and so on, which is also discussed. The AI, which might help us to get connected and make decisions maybe faster. It would also, in my opinion, push us to create new type of organizations. The way of working would differ from now, in 10 years from now, I believe, because maybe the huge structures won't exist the way that we are seeing now, or there would be very few left over, and the rest would be working in a much more collaborative way than what we understand right now with the LEED and the BRAIM and other sustainability certifications are guiding. because right now we are really working mainly in our field, in construction field, together holistically. But I think in the future, the new technologies and these adaptive solutions would be in a broader scale and come back to the design purpose as well, and will allow us to work in smaller teams. Maybe the client architect relationship would also change because of that. There would be more like a startup mindset, which would be introduced into the design processes. And that's after all, human being is one of the most adaptive creature on Earth. So I think we will find a way to to generate this new way of living and we will have to learn to integrate maybe the circular design methodology into our way of thinking and processing. So it's pretty exciting in that terms. We will discover things, and it's going to be pretty challenging, in my opinion, for many sectors to survive and thrive out of it.
Thank you very much, Ali. And Kerem and Begüm, I would like to take also your opinion about smart and sustainable future, and in this sense, what excites you about the potential in terms of global and local building industry?
In fact, our approach is very close. I've seen Olaf's presentation, and there are some similarities, because in his presentation he explained about the search for a flexibility in this electrical systems, and by refining the knowledge of the, for instance, knowledge of the user or knowledge of the environment, you can create a more refined interaction type with this electrical systems. So I think you are trying to collect data, with the, when you come close to a specific environment, you collect lots of data and you try to combine it by using technology, as far as I understood. And this technology will, with this refined technology, you will create more flexible systems in a certain house, for instance, or in a hospital, by looking at how people use this type of technology, and by using this data, you are coming closer to creating more flexibility in the environment, in the choices, the choices of the customers, like that. So, in fact, our looking at architecture and sustainability and technology is like that way. We are trying to refine our knowledge. When we are close to collecting lots of knowledge and developing in an organized manner, we will get the idea of every element of architecture or every actor of architecture, like the users or the elements, the wall, the stairs, whether which type of element it can be. So we will, when we refine our knowledge, we will define more fixed and certain relationships in a system. So we will make endless and flexible combinations with this architectural system. So I think they are in a certain way close in philosophy, as far as I understood from Olaf's presentation, like that.
Thank you, Begüm. Kerem?
I would like to say something about Olaf's presentation. I am excited with this idea of personalization and customization.
Yeah.
Personal space, it's what it will be progress. I think the idea of design can be progressed that way. when we think about our relationship of a building components with the human being. But in my opinion, at the same time, parallelly, we need to develop ideas, and maybe some technologies can help for this. From a general, let's say, green like architecture to a specific architecture, like the personalization of a tree, for example. You know, we need we put into our plans like greenery, trees. We name them, but the specific relationship with the building, then it will make a personalization and customization. Then we need this knowledge, we need this data, and some interval elements like ABB produce to combine these elements all together. So I think this technology will be very helpful. First, to understand the holistic, as maybe Ali said, the holistic approach, and to help to evolve the architectural production, and help also to see what we don't know before, because you will collect the data, otherwise you cannot personalize the space. You know, you will collect the data of the space plus the person, and you combine them in your technology. So this is like a smart thinking, I believe, which is found in nature. I think the nature, as human beings, or a shark is doing that way. He absorbs what is going on the surrounding, analyze, then act accordingly, right? So it's personalized, let's say, approach, way of looking things. I think the architecture will evolve more on that direction. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kerem and Begüm. Olaf, what is your ideas about smart and sustainable future? You already shared your ideas, but once more, I would like to listen from you as a laptop.
First, I would underline what Kerem said. So that's really, you understood right what we are aiming for. And with that, we need smart and sustainable buildings. And without smart technology, we will not meet the future of sustainability. So this comes together. But sustainability for us means not only the electrical components. It's more about how we produce it, how sustainable is the production. What is with recycling? When you think about end of lifetime, what is then? Is it just rubbish, or can we reuse it? So this things is are counting into the holistic approach, even on the production side. So this is really one topic of sustainability in this. But what you said, data is important. Otherwise, you cannot meet the future areas where you have different usages. And what clearly needed is to define what are the spaces for different scenarios, because one space is not only for one purpose. Different usages are there in the future, and the technology is there then to support this approach and to serve the people in the buildings, not the other way around. This is rather important, and this we have to take in consideration in all the plannings, that it's not made for technology itself, it's made for all of us. And this is what I always stated, so it should be easy, and it's made for us and not for the technology. Oh, Nurullah, you are muted.
Excuse me. Thank you, Olaf. And Bulent, would you like to add something?
Of course. Upon the Olaf things that I would like to add, as you know, as ABB, we are very committed to the smart buildings, and we are investing on it. So this is just as an example where I am belonging to, and also the Olaf is belonging to, or part of the ABB group. we are working in the smart buildings. So the name of the business line, I mean, in the ABB world, we are naming business line, but you in the other side, from your side, like think as a company in the ABB group. So this shows also our commitment to the smart buildings and where we are investing on it. So, of course, from the local perspective, as you know, the buildings are the main drivers since many years. So also for the economy, and it will be also, even if there is some decrease in somehow with the stock levels or with some economical conditions, there will be also future needs in the local concept as well. As ABB Turkey, we will be investing and we will be offering our solutions. And also there is every time the challenges and the opportunities at the same time. Challenges is, of course, there are many challenges. One of them is the economy. The other one could be the investment ratio to convince the investors about the investment of that such technological issues. But I do not see so much problem on the way of the, I truly trust to the end user or the customer of the Turkish people, because they are not conservative. So they are really open to that ideas. We really see that for many years, these symptoms and also the reactions. So we look forward to it, and we are ready with our products and our solutions. I do not want to say the products. The solutions will be the key things that we will be looking forward. And also really appreciate to be a part of this session and also hosting with you. Thank you again for all the participants.
Well, thank you. Is there anything else would you like to add to all our panelists? If there is, yeah, okay. Thank you very much then. Our panel discussion is over. And I again thank to all our panelists for sharing their experiences through a smart feature, and also for inspiring us to create a smarter and better future as designers, as architects, and as humans. And and also thanks to all our audiences. And now I'm very honored and excited to invite Mr. Kengo Kuma for his keynote speech. I'm pretty sure everyone knows him well, as he is one of the most known and recognized Japanese contemporary architects. And as you know, Kengo Kuma and Associates has designed architectural works over 20 countries and received very prestigious awards. And one of their recent designs is Odunpazarı Modern Museum, was very recently realized in Eskişehir, Turkey. And as he's practiced constantly in search of new and sustainable materials, and he seeks a new approach for architecture in a post-industrial society. And this time, let's listen to him and his future vision on post-pandemic period. And now it's the stages for Kengo Kuma, and with this presentation, back to nature. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm very happy to talk with you about what I'm thinking about the post the corona pandemic period. In Japan, also the every architect and every designer are thinking about the new direction after pandemic. But as I'm saying, there are many hints from Asian architecture how to find the new architecture method after pandemic. As architecture history, after the 14th century, in 14th century, we had a tragic pest, and after 14th century, we have decided to make the bigger boxes and bigger enclosed boxes, and to create the comfortable interior space. But the outside of boxes, the people did not think about happiness outside of the boxes, and eventually the boxes has been getting bigger and bigger, and taller, and finally, we are facing such tragic situation. And in some Asian cities, we didn't want to make enclosed boxes, so we try to create the happy harmony with the environment, and we try to create the comfortable public space, and we try to create the transparent screens, which did not separate exterior and interior. And today, I want to show my recent practice, including the Odenpasar project, and also I want to share with you my ideas about the new relationship between nature and human. And this as a project is a small museum, and which is totally merged into environment. And then in this image, it is difficult to find the building. Whereas if you look carefully, you can find the building. The building is totally buried into landscape, and there's a border between nature and building is disappearing. And this is view from river, and half of the building is above grade and half of the building is below grade. This is a site plan, and this is a plan of the museum. That is the space of the museum is totally integrated with the promenade besides the river. These sections shows the relationship between river and the building, and the entrance of the building is totally disappeared. And for the wall, as we try to use transparent screen as possible as can, and as also for the Aloof, as we adapted that idea of transparent screen, and to integrate exterior and interior. This is bottom of the museum, and this is a big window which open to a river. And eventually landscape and the building is totally merged. And this is a museum for Hiroshige. And Hiroshige is a ukiyo-e painter in 19th century, and also from his ukiyo-e block, so we can learn the method how to integrate nature and artifact. And also he was using the idea of multi-layering, and to combine the nature and building and bridge. And a famous Western painter, Vincent van Gogh, so he learned that method from Hiroshige, from Japan, and this unique painting was a copy of Hiroshige's famous wood block. and also Frank Lloyd Wright, he respected nature very much, and he tried to learn that method from Japanese woodblock. And my Hiroshima Museum, I tried to translate that method into building. The roof is made by wood and it's not solid, and it's a kind of multi-layered roof that to create some soft, ambiguous relationship between environment and building. And this is the entrance of the building, and this entrance was cut to the building to create the strong axis which connect center of the town and mountain behind. And in Japanese town and villages, the mountain and the towns have been connected closely because the natural resources from mountain has been the basis of our daily life. So we did use material from mountain, and also we did use energy from mountain, and without that kind of natural resources, we cannot survive anymore. And then so we often build shrine on top at the edge of mountain. And the shrine is sending us a strong message. If we ignore nature, we cannot survive anymore. And then, so in this Hiroshima Museum, the access of the entrance is directly connected with shrine, position of shrine, and the people always feel the gods in the shrine. And this is the approach to the entrance, and also this approach is as a directing to shrine. As all the material, almost 90% of the material came from the mountain behind. And so we designed this the long cantilevered roof, and this is a roof as creating as a big shadow, and the shadow is to connect exterior and interior. And also shadow is a very strong device which protects building from natural light. This is the sections of the multi-layering roof, and this is the interior of the building. And the screens are controlling natural light, and they create natural ventilation, and we can feel the flow of wind in the building. And after this pandemic, so maybe the natural ventilation will be the most important as a part of our design. And also papers we did use also came from the village. The stone came from the village, and then the artisan, the craftsman of the village, and us are working together to create this building. So in China, we designed this small hotel just besides Great Wall. So we learned many things, many hints from Great Wall. So one biggest hint from Great Wall is how to treat landscape. We didn't cut the mountain. The building, bottom of the building is following the landscape, and then so we could preserve the vegetation of the site. And that this is a very smart ideas as we learned from the ancient Chinese people. The material we did use the bamboo from the place, and bamboo is beautiful material, and also bamboo can as a filter natural light, and also bamboo can make the very soft ambiguous border between exterior and interior. And this space is most important space of the building. We call it tea house. The drinking tea is a very important as an action of human in Asian life. And it's a kind of spiritual experience. And in this tea house, people can feel nature, and also people can experience the space between exterior and interior. This is the opposite from the enclosed concrete box. And as for material, so we did many challenging building by wood. This is a project in Milan, and as we got a hint from the toy for kids. The journalist system of toy is very smart, and so we worked with a student to fix those bars to create this small pavilion. The dimension of the sticks is just 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters, and it is very, very transparent, but it's strong enough to support the building. And so we adapt after making this pavilion. So we tried to pass idea to permanent building. We tested the strongness of wood with engineer, and the section of the building, and the reality of the building. It's a 10 meters high building, but structural element is just 6 centimeters by 6 centimeters. And as working with Japanese carpenters, it was very exciting. They don't want to use nail, so they don't want to use the glue, just a joinery system. It's a ceiling. In Kochi, it's a mountain, so we built the wooden bridge. The wooden bridge used to be very popular in this district. But in 20th century, the concrete bridge destroyed this beautiful tradition. And then we decided to recover this beautiful joinery system. And also, this is a bridge, but at the same time, this is a museum. So the wooden bridge is often covered by Aloof, because wood is, for wood maintenance is not easy, and then we do use this as an interior space as traffic and exhibition. In the same village, so we found the very small tea house. The people were using this as a roadside cafe, roadside in the very ancient style, but it's also very beautiful. and also is a very popular space for communication between people. So we try to use same material for the wall of the building. It's a thatch. So before the 19th century, the thatch had been the most popular material for roof. But in 20th century, it disappeared, and the craftsmanship disappeared. But as we tried to recover the tradition and to apply that method to new small hotel. And such is practically it is very efficient material to create comfortable interior space. It is very different from concrete. Concrete block everything, and concrete needs air conditioning. And that kind of air-conditioned space causes the global warming, and that became that creates the very uncomfortable public space. But this kind of soft material and this kind of warm material can create the very soft atmosphere, also the very intimate public space. In the center of Tokyo, even in the center of Tokyo, we try to create the special, the tall building with natural material. Location is in front of famous temple, and then we try to create compensation between old temple and new tower. We call it towers, but it's not skyscraper, but it's just 40 meters high building, and the section is like that. We try to create natural ventilation, and we try to create shadows, and the Aloof and the Soffit is very helpful to create that kind of relationship. This is the reality of the building, and those vertical louvers is controlling natural light and protect the building from the strong west light. And the triangular space between floor and roof has been used for spaceport machines, spaceport air conditioning. And those silhouette, those sections, these sections is very different from normal concrete tower building. The interior, so we also use wood as possible as can. The small theaters on the 7th floor of the building, the rooftop bar, and in China, always, everywhere we try to find the beautiful local material. And in Hangzhou city is a big, huge city in China, but still I could find beautiful material. It's a roof ceramic tiles. And the side-wise, the side was slope, and we found this solution. Building is following the slope and not outstanding from the slope. It's a very gentle silhouette. And the material-wise, the building is totally covered with the roof ceramic tiles. It's a very traditional old material, but still, it was made by hands. And the beautiful colors, beautiful diversity, beautiful textures, beautiful roughness. And we try to use this beautiful unit to create screen which control the climate of the building. It is interior. As many Asian buildings, we can find this kind of effect. And the exterior and the interior are totally integrated. And the floor is sloped like this because the building is following the landscape. And the Odunpazarı as Modern Art Museum is very exciting project. We enjoyed very much as working with Turkish cultures and the Turkish in the beautiful old city. Eskişehir is beautiful city, and also I found the beautiful 2-3 story buildings of Osmanian period, and the scale of those other buildings, Osmanian buildings, is very intimate, and which reminds me of some beautiful street in Kyoto. And so we tried to create the harmony with this kind of human scale. And also the material-wise, we try to show the respect to Osmanian buildings. And I like this plaza. This plaza is part of the building, but part of the street. This kind of public space is very much needed after pandemic period. This is showing the planning of the building. So the Osmanian buildings has had that kind of human scale. And the Odunpazarı as a Modern Art Museum is not small building, but we divided the big volume into those small units to create harmony with the environment. Material-wise, we did use wood, and also we try to create the airy, transparent feeling, which integrate the exterior and the interior. And even in the interior, we can feel nature, and we can feel beautiful natural light, and we can feel wind of the city. There's a twist for interior is creating the dynamic space, but it's not so the objective. Is a space. All the spaces of the museum are connected, and the people can always feel the museum is part of the city and part of nature. And in UK, we designed a B&A museum in Dundee. Victoria Albert Museum is a very important museum in UK, but it's in Scotland. So we want to show the respect to beautiful natures of the place. So we found this beautiful sea cliff, and we tried to bring this idea to our B&A Dundee. The location of this museum is very unique. This is between nature and city. As a building, half of the building is we push into river, and this is not the artificial concrete box. This is a kind of the man-made sea cliff, and the people always can feel nature even in the building. To create that kind of natural the feeling, so we did use the randomness which was created by computer. This is view from river and view from city. And there's my favorite space in this museum is this cave. So most of the building block the relationship. But in this building, the cave is inviting the people to river and to the mountain behind the river. And so that as an idea, that relationship reminds me the gate in front of the shrine in the Japanese mountain. The gate, people has always built gate in front of shrine because people want to connect nature and city by using gate. The architectures should be like gate. And this is a space beneath the gate, and the people can feel the relationship, feel the connection with environment. In the main foyer of the building, same as OMM, as we did use wood, and also we bring the twisted movement to the space. And people really like this big foyer space, and people are drinking teas, sometimes drinking beers, or sometimes they eat and spend time in the museum. And the museum, also in 21st century, should not be the books, enclosed books. The museum of the 21st century should be the living room in the city. And so I explain the building by using this word, living room for the city. And finally, the museum people created this as a tote bag, as a saying, a living room for the city. This is interiors covered by wood, the small window which connects a river and building. And at last, I want to show the new national stadium, which will be used for Tokyo Olympic. And it was planned to open this year, July, but because of the pandemic, it was postponed. But nobody knows it's really happened in 2021. But already we have this museum at this stadium, and in this stadium, I try to show some examples which shows a relationship between exterior, the new relationship between exterior and interior. This is huge museum, as a huge stadium. The capacity of the stadium is 80,000, but we didn't want to create concrete box. Transparency and ventilation is most important as an idea for design. And also we did use the cedar from Japan. As Japan, the uniqueness of Japan is a percentage of forest. Japan is a very industrial country, but 70% of land is still forest. And then, as I try to use the cedars from 47 prefectures of Japan. 47 means every prefectures of Japan. And also we try to integrate the vegetation and wood. And those as inclined the roof is a device to bring natural wind into the building. the same as the pagoda towers of 7th century in Nara, and also the most of the buildings in Japan has this kind of idea: natural ventilation, the protect building from natural light. And the structurally, so we try to combine those wooden beam and steel as a beam, to protect the building from earthquake. So we have many earthquake often, but the wood is still strong enough to support the building. And this section is showing the flow of wind, and so we have the big data about the direction of the wind in 365 days a year, and so what we should avoid is the north wind in winter. So the building will be protected from north wind in winters, but in summertime we try to bring natural wind to the bottom of the stadium to create comfortable environment without the machinery as air conditioning system. The materials wise, we do use this kind of recycled material as possible as can. This is my favorite space in the stadium. This is the open promenade, raised 20 meters from grade, and it is open to community, open to the people every day of the year. And the stadium is a building for Olympic, but at the same time, stadium should be part of the community as a part of daily life. This is our idea. And then so we designed this kind of landscape as well. Through those projects, today I want to show the direction, new design direction after pandemic. And I think pandemic is a very severe and serious as a condition for us, but at the same time, as we learn many things in the last 4 months. And through this as a tough experience, so I want to investigate the way of design and the new way of using natural material and the new way of creating harmony with environment. Thank you very much.
Hello again, and when we say goodbye to Kengo Kuma, as we appreciate his participation when it's very late in Japan, and thanks to him for his very inspiring presentation about his design philosophy. And let me conclude by thanking to all of our speakers, as I think we all had a really excellent insight. And I like to thank to everybody who joined us today, this afternoon. Also, ABB Turkey and Yapı Medya Communication team for their contribution to make this event happen. And hopefully there will be more discussion about future senses of architecture as our agenda is changing very rapidly. And again, thank you everyone. And I would regret to say we couldn't create a space for the questions that we received because of the shortage of time caused because of the technical issues. But I also would like to say that the record of this live sessions will be uploaded in Mimarizm YouTube channel with Turkish subtitles soon. So again, I wish you a great day and have a nice day. Thank you very much for being with us. Goodbye.